Have you ever done something that you poured all your heart in and was unsuccessful? Have you ever met someone whose life just seems to be perfect, has a good career, a loving girlfriend or a boyfriend? They're decent and just good to be around. Were you happy for them or were you burning in envy? Hoping to find at least one big hidden secret and expose them for the fraud they are. And worse, you found out that you just made up the suspicions because of envy. If you are happy for them, then sure, you're a wonderful person. Most of us are not that strong. Why do you have the impulse to destroy the beautiful and the good? This is the story of Cain and Abel. Before we get to the story, we have to look into the human condition and its complexity. Why are we here on earth? Where did we come from? What are we here to do? Why do we die? What is the meaning of all this? Many brilliant people have looked into this fundamental but unsolvable question, and I believe it's why religions exist. To answer this mysterious question at the heart of the human condition. When you are born, you are doomed to die. In life, you encounter both good and evil. There is suffering also, and no one knows why it's here. What even makes it tragic is that good people can suffer too. You can do everything right and still lose. You can be born to parents in the wrong side of the world, and your life will never be the same again. Just think of how many children who were born in the war-torn areas, or those who were born into slavery in the old times. When you look at many wars in history, for example, the great renowned invasion of Persia by Alexander the Great. How many people had to die for Alexander to earn his glory? What about people who were born with autoimmune diseases? There's a deep tragic side in the life of a human being, and yet it's what gives it beauty. There are people who come into this earth and their lives transcend all the faults and tragedies. These are our heroes or the saints. These are the great composers of music or literature. It's unfortunate that we don't get to know many heroic figures, and I don't mean the conventional type of hero who distinguishes himself or herself publicly, but those who still choose to do the right thing despite being surrounded with deep tragedies, the people who still choose to be good despite experiencing evil, the people who rise in defiance despite having every right to be resentful. Those are the heroes. These are the people who remind us that we are not justified to do the wrong thing despite life's tragedies. This is central to understanding the story of Cain and Abel. The fall of Adam and Eve comes with the consequence of knowing that one day we will die. A lot has been written on what human beings do to stave off the fear of death. Symbolically, death occurs when matter is no longer informed by the spirit. For example, when you die, your breath leaves you. To understand this further, we need to look at two fundamental aspects of reality: time and space. Symbolically, these two forces are at war. Time represents the cyclical but unproductive forces in reality. For example, weather seasons or the day and night cycle, which is represented by the snake eating its own tail. Because without structure, time is unproductive, contradictory, and without meaning. Think of it this way. If you wake up in the morning without a plan, which is structure, for your day, the day becomes unproductive. Space, on the other hand, represents structure, discipline, and work. To have a productive day, you have to plan and work. This work is a form of sacrifice, giving up the comfort of now to reap it later. Who the sacrifice is given to can be said to be the spirit that gives order and meaning. I do not want to assume the role of defining God, as no human can. In the story of Cain and Abel, at least, this is what I assume they are sacrificing to. Cain and Abel are born in a world where human beings now have to work as a way to keep death at bay. Why does Cain kill Abel? The story opens in the post-fall world where human beings have to work. The brothers go to the altar to make their sacrifices, and the story says that Abel gives up the firstlings of his flock, and because of the sweet savor, God is pleased. Cain makes his offering too, but God does not look at it with favor, which angers Cain. The beauty of this story is it doesn't say the quality of Cain's sacrifice. Was it bad, or God was not in the mood to accept his sacrifice? This is the beauty of the story to me. There are no easy answers here. The ambiguity in Cain's sacrifice makes the story really human. It ties well to a question I asked earlier. Have you ever done something perfectly and still did not get the reward for your work? As we walk in this journey of life, fate or whatever is in control does not distribute privilege or blessings equally. There are people who just seem to have things easy for them, and you struggle so much and yet you can't level up, and life doesn't really care that much. Just tuck it on and move on. It's Cain's response that makes the story ever more beautiful. Cain, instead of learning from his brother or doing deep introspection on why his sacrifice is rejected, he kills Abel. If you're familiar with the fall of man, you will know that Adam and Eve fell because of pride. The desire to be one owns God. This is the pride that leads to the fall of Cain. Many people do confuse the nature of pride. Many people think it's boasting about one's ability or nation. Although that can have disastrous consequences, the pride shown here is subtle, self-reassuring, and driven by resentment. This pride, I believe, is the most dangerous form, the pride of lying to yourself, which misaligns you with reality. Cain in his wrath kills Abel, further exacerbating the fall. Think about how human this is. The envy, the resentment. How many times do we actively sabotage other people's efforts? The killing here can be metaphoric as well. It can be gossiping or acting passive-aggressive to someone who does not deserve it. When we meet someone doing better than us, we tend to be envious, and most of the time, we'd love to bring them down to our level or beneath us. If you are performing better, it flatters our ego in a way. This is also true in the people who are resentful in life. Have you ever met a person who always works hard to bring you down? Not overtly, but covertly. When you share your plans, they always discourage you. Or when you're happy, they try to bring a similar story of how they've been happier than you. These can all be lessons from the story of Cain and Abel.